Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rangers podcast, The Gallant Few. I'll be your host this evening, so this is my first shot at it, so please be kind in your comments. So it's just going to be following the usual format. So without further ado, we'll just get straight into it. So first of all, I'd like to welcome this evening Mr. David Tomlinson, our foreign correspondent, our man on the continent. Dave, how's things?
Yeah, thanks, great. I was quite funny during the week. I was looking at the comments and follow, and it was me and you, Dave. It was actually aimed at, I think, but there was one comment and it was really nice. Oh, it's a good podcast and things like that. And then the guy says, "I like the way there's young guys and grumpy old men." The guy's a break, grumpy old men. Come on. So we'll try and be a wee bit cheery tonight. We've won, so we'll be a wee bit more cheery.
To be honest, I know which category I'm in, having listened to myself back, grumpiness to a new level, to be honest. So also, joining us tonight is Craig. Craig, how are we doing?
Not bad, Davey. Thanks for having us, guys. And feels like forever. I've not been on for ages. And no, I haven't been waiting until Rangers have been playing some decent football, because I know that recently we haven't been playing the way that we probably would like, but yesterday was absolutely brilliant. And it's just by chance that I'm back tonight. So I need to reiterate, it's not just because Rangers have started playing well again that I'm back.
Well, that's what we were saying about you, Craig. You only come on after good results, but we'll leave that for another day. Anyway, we'll just get straight into it. Yesterday was obviously a good day for us. We were not the best. Our track record of late has not been, inspiring in that respect in terms of coming back from the breaks. But we seemed to put that aside yesterday. So, Davey, coming to yourself first. Hearts at Tynecastle, you would say on paper one of our tougher fixtures, but you wouldn't have thought that, come 2:30 yesterday. What's your own comments?
Well, did we not win 4-0 last year as well? So maybe it's becoming a sort of a pattern that we just go there and win 4-0. So no, I'm quite. We played good. We can't put it past that. Obviously, we've got the big boy up front that's we're going to talk about later. No, but I thought it was a definite improvement. I thought we got the ball forward far quicker than we normally do. I think Davies made a big difference. I think Goldson should take a sort of a page out his book on how to pass 70, 80-yard balls, because he played a couple and he put them right onto the foot. And Goldson tried a few and they were on the foot of somebody in about row 40. So I think no, it's a big improvement, and really enjoyed the game. And it was, I think McGregor had one save to make, and that was it. I don't think they had anything else that sort of had endangered the goal at all.
So, Craig, listen, we've been accused of late of not getting off to the quickest of starts in games, which was certainly true of the first 7 games. I know some of the guys that I sit beside, are kind of frustrated that because our track record of actually scoring in the first half hour is pretty shocking, to be honest. But yesterday we just seemed to be out the traps just that wee bit sharper. What was your own take? Do you think Gio had maybe had a word with him, or we're seeing something, that came from the training ground during the break? What did you think?
I think, first of all, when I'd seen the lineup and I'd seen the midfield, I was concerned about how we would start with the combined age of about 100 between the three of them, Lundstrom, Davies and Arfield. But see, to be honest, before the break, I think the break came at a point where we looked as if we were going to start kicking on, and obviously the other side were starting to kind of show signs of they weren't as invincible as they thought they were, and we weren't as bad as what we thought we were. So I was actually during the break, I was actually really looking forward to seeing us come back, and there's always that bit of hope that we're going to come out of the traps, and I think I'm people would get bored of hearing me saying it. Like the European nights, I always want Rangers to go at the teams from the moment that we think me. But the thing that struck me was that from the very start yesterday, it was the lack of respect. Listen, I'm not saying that we didn't show them respect, but we didn't make them out to be a Real Madrid or an Arsenal or any kind of team like that. It was Hearts that were playing, and for the first few minutes, it was fast pass. And do you know what? Also, what I would actually point towards is that, see, having two centre halves that can be comfortable on the ball, and if the ball's coming back at them, there's players in that team that's maybe not so worried about having to track back as quick. Because I seen one with Lundstrom in the first half where Borna Barisic should have passed it to him, and Lundstrom had made a brilliant run. Didn't go to Lundstrom, but we weren't short at the back because we had a left-sided centre half and we had a right-sided centre half, which we've not really had the beauty of seeing this season up until yesterday. Which I think there was loads of things, Davey. You would like to think that Van Bronckhorst is smashing home that we need to be going out there from the very start. But I think there's a combination of things that are starting to come together for Rangers just now. Confidence.
I was quite pleased, with the start that they made in terms of, we had some early corners, and obviously coming on to my next point, and this was top of my list when I thought about this earlier, was Antonio Colak. I mean, this guy, the last few goals he scored have been unbelievable in terms of, that it's all been one touches in the penalty box. And I thought yesterday for the first goal, it was absolutely superb because he's playing the ball out to Kent and then makes the run. Kent delivers the ball, one touch, goal, and they're immediately on the back foot. And I think when Rangers get ahead, that we're all always going to be in pole position for the 3 points. So Dave, coming on to Antonio Colak, I mean, what's your kind of overall impression of this guy? Because he just looks the real deal for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, his goal scoring is up at this moment second to none. Can I just go back to the left back centre half position just for a few seconds, Dave? I actually think Hearts targeted that area with Humphreys. I think they tried to get down that area quite a lot, but they had a wee bit of success in the beginning. And then I think the Rangers get used to it. Davies and Barisic get used to it, so they cleared up after that. So I just wanted to make that point. Going back, Colak, I mean, what can you say about him? His finishing is absolutely brilliant up to now. I mean, 2 goals a game. What has he got? 10 now, I think, or 11? 11, I think it is now. So no, you can't argue with that. He's absolutely brilliant. One thing that I really liked to see I think it was when they scored the second one, Morelos was out hugging his neck as well, and I quite enjoyed that. So it's sort of although Morelos after he scored was a wee bit his self, but he was out hugging Colak when he scored. So, but yeah, I mean, Colak's got to be first pick just now because he's scoring 2 a game, so you can't beat that.
See just on that as well. See games like Hearts, Easter Road, Pittodrie, Parkhead, European games. I think up until yesterday, I would have always kind of thought I want Morelos in that because of not just the goal scoring, but what he's going to bring with the hold-up play. He's going to come back in and start mucking in, probably as a kind of number 10 at times. And see yesterday, Colak done that. It's the best link-up play that I've seen for him since he started. So he started bringing that into his game as well, even though we would see him as like a natural goal scorer and that's what he's there for. I wouldn't be surprised if it's him that's up top against Liverpool now.
See the one thing, sorry Dave, just to cut in again. See the one thing about the first goal. I think you've got to give Arfield a lot of credit for it as well, because Arfield pulled a lot of players away from him when he made his forward run. So I think that was a large part in the goal as well. I think Arfield was actually looking for the ball, but he ended up just being the dummy that pulled the players away.
On the point of Scott Arfield, actually, that was something I was hoping to speak about, because Scott Arfield, for me, had a no bad game, but not brilliant. I mean, my comment was that he does the right things, just not very well, because the runs he was making from midfield, and he had a chance, a really good chance, to make it 2-0 prior to us popping the second in. So but Scott Arfield, is a good player for me, and I like Scott Arfield. But do you think, I mean, the number of chances that fall Scott's way, and we need to be more clinical. It's something we spoke about, pre-season and now into the season, that we need to be more clinical in terms of the possession that we have, number of chances that we make, and how these are converted. So Scott Arfield, for me, you're right. I mean, the runs he was making, and he's creating space just by making a run, so and allowing us to get up the park with some bodies. But are there other players? I mean, is this really the role which Lawrence will play when he's back from fitness? Do you see Scott Arfield as being a kind of longer term first team pick? Craig, what do you think of Scott Arfield?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there, David. With Scott Arfield, you get a natural player that knows where to be positionally. He's going to get into the positions where he's going to get the opportunities, like yesterday. I mean, last season, I think it might have been the Leipzig game. There was a game where he was like right in front of goal and he skied it over the bar. And then you get the other side of Arfield, where you see him against Celtic last season and he doesn't get any thought or time to think, and he puts it in the back of the net. Arfield is a very, very useful player. I don't see him not being used this season. He's going to get used quite a bit. But I would like to see the likes of Tillman. I'm disappointed. See just now when Tillman's on the bench. I know that we've got Lawrence to come back for that kind of attack in midfield, but you hit the nail on the head. He'll score the odd goal for us. Generally, they tend to be tap-ins for Scott Arfield, but that's because he's positional play. What I like from him is that he gets stuck in. He clattered a player yesterday and he didn't get a yellow for it, and it ended up. I think that's why Davies actually got yellowed, because that was like near enough immediately after it. And the Davies tackle for me wasn't a yellow card, but I think the referee was kind of, his eyes were still on that tackle for before, and it was like, right, I better get a player yellowed here. But Arfield brings something to the game that when he's not playing, you tend to realise that you're missing him. It's the old cliche, you don't know what you've got until it's not there, but he takes us forward, he gets us there, but sometimes the last shot is a bit of a nightmare, being honest. I mean, that yesterday, he should have scored that.
Yeah, to be fair to Scott, I mean, he did score the third goal, which was just before half time, which was wrongly, in my opinion, ruled off for a foul in the goalkeeper, which was, he just clattered into Matondo. But on the second goal, we have the ball that John Lundstrom plays to Matondo was just out of this world. I mean, he's pinged it 60 yards to Matondo's toe, and Matondo then cuts inside, takes his contribution, which was few and far between, but this was certainly a significant contribution. And big Tony Goals makes the run into the box, and again, one touch finish, ping. We're 2-0 up at Tynecastle, where everything's looking sweet. But Matondo yesterday, what was your analysis on them, David? If I could come to you, what was your overall view of Rabbi Matondo's contribution in the game?
Well, I thought he played better than he normally does. He's definitely made an improvement from other weeks. And I think you've got to remember he's a young guy. But I mean, we want players that hit the ground running. We don't really want projects that are going to be playing okay for us in 5 years' time. We need guys on the front line now, and not in 3 years. No, it's certainly an improvement. I think he's sort of. I think you can obviously see that he's not just bombing the way, trying to beat everybody in speed. He's actually thinking about the game more. I think that's probably Gio that's probably getting him more training. And as he's a young guy, he'll learn more. I definitely think there's talent there. I definitely think he'll improve. And that ball through to Colak was just brilliant. I mean, it made the goal, really, didn't it? That was, but he made and I don't know whether it was a Lundstrom pass. I think it was. I mean, that ball travelled 70 yards or something like that, and then he just brought it down on him. Yeah. Joe Aribo stop that you could really say. It was absolutely brilliant. So no, he's definitely an improvement. I must admit, I thought Sakala played better when he came on. I quite liked Sakala when he came on. So yeah, I'm a wee bit torn with that one. Who's the best to have in, Sakala or Matondo?
So Craig, I think Dave makes a good point there. In terms of our substitutions yesterday. But before we go on to the red card, I want to speak about that. But in terms of the substitutions, I thought Gio was very good. Maybe with one proviso, which I've also got down to speak about, is that when he did make the subs yesterday, we actually didn't drop in intensity. In fact, I think if anything, our play kind of improved because the passing moves that we had in the second half, there was the wee frustration where we're doing the horseshoe thing because I want them to get up the park a wee bit quicker. But certainly, obviously they're now down to 10 men at the time, but I think we were tearing them to ribbons in the second half because I think Hearts may have thought that they would have a wee go at us, but Rangers in the second half yesterday, that was more pleasing to the eye. What was your own view?
Nah, definitely. I was screaming out for when we came out in the second half. You could see that the game was already won. We knew that it was done. As soon as the sender off happened, they were never really going to do anything. But there obviously is that in the back of your mind. Dundee United last season, where we're 2-0 up and we're coasting, and then they score, and it's all of a sudden it's backs to the wall, really worrying. But for me, you're talking about Matondo and Sakala. Matondo to me is a bizarre signing because they are very, very similar players. Sakala for me is more direct, and that's what they are there for. They're there to run. Matondo for me doesn't do it enough. There was a couple of times where there was balls in behind, and Matondo either didn't think that it was actually going to come to fruition, or he just wasn't really bothered. He was wanting the ball at his feet. That kind of player, I want the ball over the top and then running at it. But it was strange as well because I didn't even realise that Sakala was on the bench until he came on, and obviously there was all the kind of the noise that Sakala was one of the players that they wanted out, and I didn't think that we would see him in a Rangers jersey again, and to see him come on and he obviously done pretty well when he came on as well. It bodes well because you're thinking players like that can easily down tools and can just quite happily take a wage and not really want to really do much. But Matondo pre-season looked like a proper exciting player, and apart from a few flashes yesterday, and I don't want to be too much a pessimist here, but I don't see much difference for what Sakala can bring to the team. Sakala brings goals as well. Matondo to date hasn't really brought that yet.
Well, what I like about Sakala is that he brings a superb positive attitude. I mean, the guy's perpetual motion, and as you said, his instinct is to drive forward. Sometimes you just kind of suspect that his brain's not wired to his feet, but you certainly cannot fault this boy for effort. And you're right, and yesterday I thought he had some lovely touches, and I think he was a threat to them. One thing I do want to come on to, Dave, and I think you kind of touched on it earlier. So Ben Davies slips in at centre half as a natural left-sided centre half, and he obviously gets the 45 minutes. But my own opinion is that I thought we looked a proper unit with Ben Davies in there as being a left-sided player on the left side of the pitch. What was your take on that?
Yeah, well, I think it was, and as I touched on it, I think they targeted there in the beginning because they obviously thought Davies was new, so he would be not up to full running yet, and I think they also thought that the ball behind Barisic would be there would be space there. But yeah, no, that was it Humphreys you call the guy. He gave us quite a bit of trouble at the beginning. He had the one shot at goal that I think they had, and plus the fact they had a few runs that sort of troubled us. But if you think about it, Forrest. Does anybody know that Forrest was playing? Because I never heard his name right until he went off. I think he took one free kick, and I never heard his name until he went off. And Mackay was done a wee bit more, but not really much either. So we sussed them out. We got them under our belts really quickly, and 6 minutes to go. So they came at us, and as I say, I think they targeted that area. But Davies, he just looks so. Davies, sorry, he just looks so relaxed that he doesn't look as if he gets sort of panicky or anything like that. He just looks takes everything in stride. That's the way he looks. And no, as I say, they long passes that he does. Some of them are sort of. I think he had 2 or 3 that sort of were right on target. So hopefully that's a good thing to add to our game as well. No, I really liked. I really think it was positive. The only thing I think. I don't think he was injured. I think he got taken off because of the yellow card and probably because he's not played a lot of games.
Craig, when on Ben Davies, the booking that he got, I think, was one of the times that he stepped out of defence, and ended up kind of lunging into the challenge. But his ability to do that, and there was 3 or 4 occasions when, as Goldson will do on the right hand side, he was prepared to do it on the left, and I was really encouraged because he looked like he knew what he was doing when he's quite prepared to just, rather than lump it 40 yards or play it to Borna, he would just step in and carry the ball forward. And I was quite encouraged by that because I thought, yes, this is a proper defensive unit here. Obviously, he was taken off, and Dave says it's probably as a result of the booking, but I think Ben Davies, I know it's early doors and we've only just seen a glimpse of him, but I'm hoping that he will be something that we can rely on, for this season to kind of steady the ship in terms of the left-hand side of our defence. What do you think?
100%. I think it's been pretty obvious that we've been absolutely screaming out for a natural centre half next to Goldson. Goldson stepped in again with a obligatory mistake. I think it was 2 that I seen. At the weekend and yesterday for Goldson. Listen, I'm not going to criticise the big guy too much, but you're probably going to get that from him from time to time. But you're also going to get the absolute wonder passes, the 60-yard pingers that he pings across. And like I said, I'm not going to criticise him too much, but I think his mistakes throughout the beginning of the season get magnified because you've got someone beside him that you maybe know is confident that he's going to pick up the pieces. With a player like Davies, he kind of strolled that yesterday. You wouldn't think that he was a player that's barely played any minutes for however many months. Ball at his feet, like you says, he's got a bit of pace. He can pick a pass. There's a bit of confidence in him as well. You can see it. You don't get signed by Liverpool if you can't play football. Apart from the other centre half that they took for us, but Mr. Wilson. But for me, I've been choking to see Rangers play without a midfielder playing centre half the whole season. And I think, like I say, it's a combination of things that we start playing well when the likes of, we've got a player next to Goldson that he's actually comfortable being there. So I hope he starts on Tuesday. I don't think he will, if I'm being honest. I think Bronkhorst has kind of shown time and time again that he goes for kind of safe bets in terms of fitness and stuff, and he won't kind of throw players in too soon. But bodes well for going forward, definitely.
Yeah, it was really encouraging to see a proper left-sided defender step in and do it. And I know Sands have been doing not too bad, but it was I think Ben Davies should be just a wee notch up. Dave, coming back to yourself, I'm looking to touch on a couple of the refereeing decisions here, you know, one went for us, one went against us. The red card for Cammy Devlin. I mean, I was out the chair screaming that's a red. So that McLean eventually, you know, obliges us, but he then later addressed that. I don't know whether they get it in their head that, you know, I need to even things up somewhere, and he then calls a foul against Craig Gordon when he's, you know, waving down taxis in Gorgie Road, trying to collect the ball. The ball falls to Scott Arfield, who just pops it in. I mean, that's a goal all day long. What did you think of the refereeing?
No, well, there was another thing about a strange moment at there was a ball nearly went out at our corner flag, and I don't think he had a clue what to do, and he kept looking at his linesman, and then I don't think his linesman gave him any signal, and then all of a sudden they both sort of had decided it was an offside decision, and which he got right, but that was another decision. But I mean, it was a red card. It's a certain red card. That's for sure. I mean, his studs went in just under the knee, I think it was, and I had to laugh at Nielsen when he said it was a red card, but the referee should have handled it differently. How do you handle a red? He gave him a red card. What is he supposed to do? How is he supposed to handle that differently? So I quite enjoyed that. I don't understand what he's. But I mean, the goal. Yeah. Sorry, on you go.
I think Nielsen just didn't want to throw him under a bus, you know, by saying you're a daft, you know, for that was an act of stupidity for me, because I mean he's doing this right on the touchline. That I mean, everyone, it was as plain as he stamped on his foot, you know, and not just collided with his foot, stamped on his foot. I mean, if that isn't a red card, then gosh, we've.
Yeah, but I think Nielsen get booked for it as well, did he not? Might not have get booked right away, but I think he get booked for keep moaning about it later on. So I mean, he ended up getting booked as well. So I mean, I think if anybody could have handled it differently, I think first Devlin could have handled it differently, because there was no way he needed to go in like that. And then Nielsen, he could have handled it differently and just, well, it's a red card. Yeah, you deserve it. You know what I would like? I would have loved to have been a fly in the wall and heard what Gio was saying to him. Because saying to Devlin, because Gio had his head fast, holding his head for it must have been about half a minute, and talking to him. So I would quite like to have been a fly in the wall and heard what that discussion was about. But no, and then the goal. No, I mean, the goal was just a joke, isn't it? It was Gordon. There was no way did Matondo push or hit Gordon. It was the other way about. He came out, he fluffed the catch and bundled into Matondo, and beautiful finish by Arfield. Absolutely beautiful finish right into the net. And because that's one of these balls that you're not really expecting it to come to you. So it's easy. A lot of players miss it because they're not expecting the ball to come to him. So, but he realised it was coming, and then he just side-footed it into the net. No, definite goal, definitely a red card, and I don't think Hearts can complain. I think if Nielsen looks the next day, he'll get Devlin aside, and he'll say, "Yeah, listen, son, that was a wee bit stupid."
I mean, I think we're within weeks of getting VAR, aren't we? I mean, they're saying that after the World Cup. I'm quite confident that VAR would have overturned that decision. But Craig, I mean, I thought, you know, at the end of the game, you know, it's been at the end of the day a comfortable 4-0 win. But I'm thinking, and maybe I'm just being a grumpy old man here, is that we should have. That this is exactly the sort of issue where Rangers should make an issue of it. You know, because we've won comfortably, but that was a glaring error by the referee that's cost Rangers, you know, a perfectly good goal. Do you think the club should respond to that in some way and make it known that we're not chuffed with these things? Because it was amateurish. I mean, because everyone, I watched it, you know, from on TV, and he's got a far closer view than I, and there was no way in God's earth that did Matondo foul Craig Gordon in any way. And I'm just, what did he see that we didn't see?
See, first of all, right, see on Nielsen is a complete banger. Yeah, like honestly, there's managers that come to Ibrox, and there's managers that you can have respect, and you can go, do you know what, they're a decent manager, and they've got a good football brain, and they treat our club with a bit of respect. And see with him, he's just an absolute banger. I mean, he comes out and he basically contradicts himself by saying it's a red card, but then says that the referee could have possibly dealt with it differently. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really don't understand it. And then he goes on further and then says, I mean, he gave the referee an opportunity to send him off, as if he was wanting to send a player off that wasn't a Rangers player. You're going, what? And I appreciate what you're saying there, Davey, about the club, but see the guy that's interviewing him, like, journalists these days are just appalling, man, because see when he says the comments, a good journalist should be going, what do you mean by that? And trying to draw a bit more out of him, because comments like that, you're trying to basically say that there's a bit of cheating going on, or you're basically saying, I don't know. See when I watched it, when I watched his interview, I had to actually watch it back to go, did I actually listen to that there? He's one of the managers as well that, I mean, I sit in the main stand and see when there's a foul, it doesn't matter if it's a foul like yesterday, where it wasn't just he went over the ball and accidentally went on his foot. It was like he proper went in to actually stand on his ankle yesterday. See that kind of thing at Ibrox. Nielsen's the type of manager that he's outside his area shouting, running up to the fourth official and all that stuff. I mean, the club, for me, the club don't make enough a meal of this kind of stuff. These are the times to do it. See when you've won 4-0. Like, I'm a great believer that we don't come out when you've just been gubbed and try and blame decisions and stuff like that. And he also made a comment about saying that the game was dead after the red card. And you're going, no, the game was dead after the second goal, mate. When your team basically couldn't handle playing against us. Your team couldn't handle us when they had 11 men. When they had 10 men, Rangers kind of took the foot off the gas, and that was probably their only opportunity to come into the game was when we went down to 10 men, because Rangers kind of just started playing it. They started doing the horseshoe stuff at the beginning of the second half, and it was driving me a bit mad. But I just had to get that out there. Nielsen's one of the managers. I file him under the same as like Derek McInnes. Like they come across as this kind of really articulate and football brain and all that stuff. See when you scratch the surface stuff, absolute bams. Sorry.
I mean, on the referee, staying on the referee just for a moment, I'm thinking that the Cammy Devlin challenge, you could clearly see he's going in there with some intent, with the stamping motion. And we've already lost, Lowry, to a deliberate act of violence against a player on the pitch, for several weeks, who's one of our up-and-coming talents. I mean, is it just me, or do Rangers players not do this? I don't see this from Rangers players, that they will deliberately go and try and hurt an opponent. So we've already seen Alex Lowry. The same could have happened to Matondo yesterday. And I think that maybe I'm wrong, but should the club, let it be known that we're not best pleased with this sort of nonsense? That just seems to be that if it's a Rangers player, then it's pretty much fair game.
Do you know,
David, what do you think? I mean, I know you're a kind of Lowry aficionado, fanboy even. So we've already lost Alex Lowry to this sort of challenge. The same thing happens yesterday. Obviously, the referee's now red carded him, but should there be kind of further action? When it's so deliberate that he's clearly going to hurt the player, and Rangers should be calling this out.
Well, I think the what do you call that, commissioner? I think he should be called in, and well, he doesn't need to be, because he'll be up the front of the board anyway. But I think he should be at least a couple of games. I honestly don't know whether he attempted to hurt the guy. I think he just tried to get his leg over the player to get at the ball, to be honest with you. But it was just reckless. It was dangerous. And to be honest with you, I think, I don't think Rangers would accept players like that at our club. And that's how I had to laugh at Chris Boyd during the week, about Friday, I think it was, coming out and saying that Rangers and Celtic should be looking at Porteous. I don't see Rangers ever been interested in a player like Porteous. He's just, for a start, everything he's done against us, and I just don't see him. I don't see Porteous being interested in coming to us, but I just don't see Rangers being interested in a player like him. He's just Rangers have had really hard players, defenders in the past. I mean, you look at Tom Forsyth, one of the hardest men you'll probably ever meet, and but it was just clean. I've never ever seen him attempt to hurt anybody, and no, we've through the years we've had hard players, but I've never ever seen a Rangers player actually go out and attempt to hurt anybody, and I don't think the club would stand it. I really don't. I hope they wouldn't.
Can I see for me? I appreciate Davies. He's maybe not that type of player, and he's maybe after it realised. Because you could see he looked a bit he looked as if he didn't know what was going on when obviously Van Bronckhorst grabbed him and all that. But see when you look at the slow motion, there is a deliberate stamp there. I don't think he can kind of thing with that. He clearly looks, and the foot goes straight, and it's right on his ankle. And see, just on the thing of kind of punishment and stuff. See, when you put into perspective that there's a player in this country that didn't even do anything on a football park, that's going to potentially get 10 games taken off him, near enough the end of his career as well. And a player yesterday, Matondo, he could have got a broken ankle, he could have got a broken foot. That could have had a massive setback on his full career, which basically is effectively his living. And that player is going to walk away that did it yesterday and probably get, 2-game ban. It's actually mental when you think of that he actually, for me, and this is the beauty of the podcast, is that we're allowed to disagree with certain things, but for me that was an assault yesterday. It's like what you were saying there, where you go in a solid tackle and you win that 50-50, just like Lundstrom done last season with, I think it was McGregor, and he sent him flying with the 50-50, and that's the kind of tackles that I want to see a Rangers player take. That guy went out there yesterday for me to deliberately hurt that football player that was in a Rangers jersey, but yet he's going to get 2 games, and somebody that says something out with a football park is going to potentially get 10 games. It's mental. It really, really is.
I mean, on Cammy Devlin, I thought I'm going back to the Scottish Cup final here when he played against us, and I thought there's just a wee nasty streak in that guy. So maybe I'm coloured with that, going into yesterday's game and the challenge that he eventually put in Matondo. It just strikes me that he has that in him, and that's my own opinion. So I don't know whether he's coached. That's a discussion they have in the changing room. But clearly some of them have it in the changing room before they go out and face Rangers. Put the boot into them. There must be an element of that. But one thing, Craig, what I'd want to come on to here, which is an interesting discussion I would have thought was that when we eventually take off Colak, we bring on Morelos and Alfie does his thing, and I think, make a case for me. Someone make a case here that we can get Tony Goals and the Buffalo on the pitch at the same time, because I think that would really be an interesting experiment, because you can see that they're not the same type of striker, and I would be praying that Gio eventually finds an opportunity to have a crack at someone with both of them on the pitch, because for me, Antonio Colak is our best striker. But for me, and this is my opinion, Alfredo Morelos is our best player. So he's obviously a very good goal scorer, but I would be bursting, to try and find a way. What formation, what that would look like. I mean, I'm open to discussion, Craig. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Davies, particularly against teams at Ibrox, where I've always been a great fan of two up top. Rangers, for me, haven't really done it over the years. We tend to only really go with one striker. But I think Van Bronckhorst was actually asked in a press conference at the beginning of the season about it, and he completely quashed it. I think it's the way that he kind of sets up his teams. He likes to have the two kind of number 10s or wide players. He would sacrifice the two middle. But do you know, the Buff is played out wide at times for Rangers as well. Like, people forget that. I mean, he could potentially play in that kind of position where we've got Matondo, we've got Wright, we've got Sakala. I mean, imagine having Buffalo charging at players for that position. A lot of his kind of goals tends to come from things like that, coming out for the outside and coming in. I would love to see it, but I don't see Van Bronckhorst kind of budging on it, to be honest.
Dave, what do you think? Because I think we should find a setup, find a way to get our best players on the pitch, and they too, in terms of our forwards, our top picks. How does Gio manage this? What formation do we need to do to use, to employ, adapt to get these two guys on the pitch at the same time?
Well, the two tactical ways are either going 3-5-2 or 4-4-2, which isn't played that often these days. Although I think Hearts tried it yesterday, and the reason for that is just normally you get in the midfield, you're a man short, so there's not a lot of teams use. I think since the sort of Guardiola days and the early Barcelona days, I think that done away with 4-4-2. I think everybody started moving into the 4-1-3-2 or whatever it is, all these different type of forms. And I think that's the only way you can do it, is going 3-5-2 or another version of it. Then you can play Morelos, Colak up front, and play Morelos round about him, or the other way about, I suppose, would work as well. Morelos up front, holding the ball up, and Colak going about him. That's the way to do it. But as we all know, as I said, virtually every pod, Gio is old Dutch school, and funnily enough, I was reading up on tactics for the Liverpool for Klopp's tactics. Don't know. We'll need to hurry up a wee bit, or we're not going to get enough time to talk about it. But the Klopp actually studied Guardiola when he was at Barcelona, and he got that one man putting pressure on players to get the ball back, and Barcelona wanted the ball back as quickly as possible. They put up one man to press everybody and got the ball back. But the difference with Barcelona in the days, they weren't that bothered in getting the ball forward quickly. They were so good at passing the ball that they could just keep the ball and play around players. But Klopp's brought that up to another, which is going on to the Liverpool game a wee bit. Klopp's new tactic, he looked at that and he thought, well, what would happen if every player started pressing? And that's Klopp's way to go to it now. It's a sort of a upgrade, if you think that, and Guardiola's old tactic, and now Klopp goes with everybody. And I think you'll find that the whole German league now sort of use that, and it's now coming over to England as well. That every player starts pressing. But I think that's what Gio, to go back to I think that's what Gio, I think he's got the Guardiola version in his head to get the ball and then keep it as long as we can. And that's great, absolutely brilliant if you've got a Barcelona with players that can pass a ball all over the park, play around players. But if you can't play around players, you haven't got the players to do it, good enough to do it, then you end up with this horseshoe thing, and the ball doesn't get played forward quick enough. You've got 10 man in defence. Your team's not good enough to play around them. And that's where I think, looking into it, that's where I think we've sort of Gio's get lost a wee bit. I think he needs to sort of look at his tactics and sort of regrade them.
Well, that's a good discussion, Dave, because I think that Gio's got a choice to make, isn't he? So he has the players fit a system, or he finds a system that will fit the players available, which would allow me, in my view, to get Morelos and Colak on the same pitch, because you play your best players for me. So he just has to find a way of making that happen. Do you think, Craig, we're ever likely to see that from Gio? Because he seems to be a fairly structured, rigid type bloke who doesn't. I mean, he will step out and change things, but as he sees things kind of developing on the pitch, whereas I would like to see it, a bit more forethought applied to see if we could use our best players, our best 11 players on the pitch all at the same time. And could he find a system that would accommodate that, in which we, particularly for league matches, particularly Ibrox, where we use all our assets, in the one go.
I think if Van Bronckhorst seems to be very similar to Dick Advocaat in this, by the way, where it's he believes in what he's doing, and he won't change, even when, I mean, see like before the break when we started turning it around again, it really looked like a kind of rudderless ship at times, because it was like we could all see that it wasn't working, and he kept maintaining. The likes of Scott Wright, we all knew that he shouldn't be playing him, and he kept playing him. I am a great believer in you play your best players, and you make that system work around your best players. I think if Van Bronckhorst was that type of manager, we wouldn't have been seeing the likes of Sands playing centre half. I think it was more for the system. He was wanting the system to work instead of playing the best centre half that we had available. If that was the case, we would have probably had Leon King playing centre half, or we would have probably not kept. We wouldn't have got rid of the likes of Balogun or Katic. Because for me, if you've got a choice of a centre half out of the three, Balogun, Katic or Sands, it's Balogun. Closely followed maybe by Katic, with Sands being a very distant option there. Whereas Van Bronckhorst seems to be, it's very much a system that he looks at, and it's what players can play that system, instead of, right, I've got the likes of what you're saying there, I've got Morelos and I've got the big Colak. Let's see what we can do with these two. It's like it's either or. He's not going to budge, which it's a frustration. But it's one of the ones as well where if Colak isn't firing, then we know that Morelos can come in. But it's a double-edged sword as well, because is Morelos going to want to play second fiddle to that? Colak seems to be very much a confidence player, where he's riding on this crest. If Colak has maybe one or two bad games and then he gets dropped for Morelos, how's that going to affect him? So there's a lot of questions around that stuff. Suppose that's why Van Bronckhorst gets paid all this money to manage what, and we don't. But yeah,
I was just thinking that, Craig, and that's probably why he's Rangers manager and I'm no, because I'm just of the view that you just play your best players and you find a way. But in terms of just before we kind of move on to the midweek game, the two goals against Dundee United and the two goals he scored yesterday, all one-touch finishes. There was a wee analysis of Mo Salah, and they were looking at some of his goals and the goals he scored for Liverpool, and the percentage of goals that he scored from one-touch finishes. And they were lauding him, saying 50% of the goals. Well, Antonio's just scored 4 out of 4 in terms of one-touch finishes in the box. So I mean, for me, his stock is rising and rising. The big man, it just looks like a superstar to me. I mean, just bring it on. But anyway, we're going to have to kind of push on, guys, because it's time is getting tight. We've only got the small matter of Liverpool at Anfield on Tuesday. So how do we approach this? What's the, with the assets that we've got available, what's the best approach for this, David? Do we go and just line the bus up, or do we go and do a Dortmund on them?
No,
do a Dortmund.
Well, we're not good at I mean, we tried that with Ibrox, to sit back and watch Ajax, and watch Ajax play around about us. So we're not good at that. I was reading up in Liverpool today for a wee bit, and they've in 5 out of the 7 games they've played, they've been rubbish for the first 25 minutes and have been behind in 5 out of 7 games they've played. So if I was G, I would be telling us to go out and hit them for the first 25 minutes anyway, because that's when they're not very good. And it was the same at the weekend, I believe. I never seen the game, but they were 2-0 behind quite quickly, and they managed to fight back. Ended up 3 each. Yeah, the other thing was I seen getting discussed there. I'll need to look back and get the comment on it. Was about Kent, Ryan Kent. He seemed to get a better game on Saturday. Although I must admit, until he scored, I was I think I put up in the WhatsApp group. I think I put up Kent's playing against a man 450 years old and he still can't get past him. So, and then just after that he scored. So that was me sort of a shot down. But I don't think he was brilliant. I think he struggled again. In fact, against Smith. And but he had an assist at the beginning and a goal at the end, so you can't really complain about that. And you just know, I mean, we've nobody else to play there, but so I think Kent's got to play on Tuesday. The defence, I wouldn't change the defence, although Davies isn't that sort of a into the groove yet, but I would still play him. Yeah, in the midfield. Yeah, what'd you do there? I think Jack's he played quite good for Scotland, played quite good the weekend. Yeah, I think we've got to go that way.
Lundstrom. What midfield are we going with Tuesday? What side's going to do it for us? Are you going to try and park the bus, or are you going to have a go at them?
That question for me there, sorry, David.
Yeah, that's for you, Craig. Yeah.
Apologies. Somebody text me that. I mean, see, to be honest, right? See, if you're ever going to want to play Liverpool, it's probably there. They're a bit of a kind of hit and a miss. They seem to play some pretty decent football at times, and then they seem to be nowhere near the Liverpool that we've seen over the last kind of 3-4 years under Klopp. I know Andy Robertson's injured just now. I want to see us go there and actually play the way that we've played successfully against European teams. I mean, we went out against Ajax, and I mean, we were all buzzing for that first European game, and it was like they didn't lay a glove on them. They struggled defensively. I think when Rangers are good in Europe, we go toe-to-toe with them. I'm not for 1 second saying that we are anywhere near the quality that Liverpool are. But I think Celtic kind of showed us against Real Madrid that when you go toe-to-toe with these teams, they don't like it. When you play a press against them, they don't like it. I seen somebody actually commenting follow yesterday as well and saying, see if we were playing against Brighton tomorrow, or Tuesday, sorry, I would fancy my chances. And like Davies says there, they managed, they were obviously getting beat off a Brighton and managed to pull it back, but Brighton made a game of it. And see if we're coming up against Brighton, I would be wanting us to beat them. So it puts into a bit of perspective that we could be playing against a Liverpool team that was battering teams 5-0, and I'd probably be saying something completely differently. With the way that Rangers have started playing again, who knows? Rangers could go out on Tuesday and sort of do something miraculous, but I don't see us doing that if we go and park the bus. I think we really need to go out there and I'm not saying go gung ho, but try and control, try and bring them in, let them attack you. One thing I don't want to see us doing is playing too high defensively, because they'll play the ball over the top of you, and you've got the likes of Salah and stuff that's just going to rip you apart. It's exciting. This is the first European game this season that I'm actually looking forward to, and it's just because we've started playing a bit better. There seems to be a bit more cohesion in the team, because see when Rangers aren't playing well over a considerable amount of time, I start worrying about whether players aren't playing for the manager, whether there's things going on in the dressing room. That was a team yesterday that was together, and that's the signs that I've seen that I think this season isn't going to be as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Craig, a good indicator for that was the tackle on Matondo when, he's immediately 5 or 6 Rangers players, immediately get there and, to, make their views known, which I think is always a sign of a good team. Because even, kind of played amateur level stuff, but you knew when you would agree in the dressing room, when anyone's, in any situation on the pitch, everyone gets involved immediately. That's, without question. So it was good to see, Big Connor, who's usually very good at these, but we had a few Rangers players there letting Cammy Devlin know exactly what they thought of him, which is always a good sign. Davey, coming back to you, my mate stays in Liverpool, and he's been kind of canvassing some of the Liverpool fans, what would be the best approach for Rangers to take, and they're kind of the view that if Rangers get into their faces, don't stand off them, they will pick you apart, get right into them, is the best way to get to Liverpool. So what squad, what players do we need on the pitch to best do that?
Well, the one as I say, I've been sort of reading up on that the team, and the fall guy at the moment seems to be that Trent. What's he called? Trent.
Alexander Arnold. Yeah,
Alexander Arnold. Yeah, he seems to be the sort of a whipping guy just now, and it's similar to the goals that they scored. They lost at the weekend was his fault. I haven't seen it, so I can't. I'm just going with what other people are saying. But no, that's. I think. Listen, to see if they're pressing us high, then there's room at the back of them as well. So that's if Kent, hopefully Kent gets in his running shoes on and there's going to be room there, because Liverpool are not going to double up on him. So this is one game that he should really be looking forward to. Yeah, and you know that their fullbacks are going to be pressing forward, so there's going to be room for Kent, and probably at the other side, Matondo probably for his speed as well. The only thing I've got against that a bit is, and you've seen it against Hearts as well, when you've got Matondo out there, it cuts down the room for Tav to get forward. And that's a thing we've got to look at as well, because it's great having Matondo out there, but when you've got him out there, then you can sort of a guarantee that Tavernier's not going to be as effective as he normally is. So that's a sort of a thing Gio's got to work out as well, how to get that into place. So, but no, the Buffalo or Colak, I think I would go with the Buffalo for this one, because I think. There's 2 strong centre halves for Liverpool. Liverpool are a really, really big team, and for one thing, we've got to watch his corners and free kick situations. Try not give away free kicks, simple free kicks, easy free kicks, because they're really murder with corners. They score a lot from corners, so that's where we've got to watch as well. So yeah. Yeah, as I say, I don't know. I think the team's going to pick itself. It's going to be the same players. The only difference is it going to be Davies or I think Davies will play. I think that's the reason he was brought in in Saturday. I think he'll play. And your other one is it Davies or Jack? Kamara, he disappeared. He wasn't even on the bench at Saturday, so I don't know what's happening there. I think he may have taken off, or whether it's just because he was racially abused again, I don't know. But as I say, he didn't even make the bench, so there's something wrong there. And
do you think we're likely to see Kamara back on Tuesday? Because this is really kind of his stage, and I would say Glenn Kamara's best games for Rangers have probably come at this level, this sort of stage, where you see, you're thinking about.
Well, he did bring him out. He did bring him out the cobwebs for PSV game all of a sudden, didn't he? Because a few games before PSV, he wasn't in the team, and then all of a sudden they sort of played him because he needed younger legs. He said. So yeah, you never know. But I don't know the situation why he was drawn. I don't. As I say, I don't know whether he's hung up. I mean, the way he played the last game, it looked as if he had hung up his boots. So. Yeah. I don't know. There's something going on there anyway. What it is, I don't know.
Craig, the Liverpool, the boy who's on the left wing, the guy they signed from Benfica, and his name escapes me. But I think Tav is going to have a busy evening just keeping this guy under tabs. What do you think?
Aye, I think fullback. We're going to see a test of our fullbacks we've probably not seen before. Tomorrow, I know that we came up against a really good team in Ajax, and PSV were obviously very, very good at the wide play as well. But I think tomorrow's going to be like a different level that we've ever come up against. Tavernier's not the Tavernier of 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where we were really concerned about his defending. He's really shored that up. Barisic for me is a concern at left back against their wide players. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I keep going to say tomorrow. Tuesday's probably going to be a night where I do want to see Barisic be a bit more conservative with what he does and stuff like that. I don't think we've got any concerns that he's going to be anything else. I don't think Barisic is going to be overly confident battering down that wing. But see, to be fair, I mean, I know that Ken comes in for a lot of criticism. These are the kind of games that you'll probably see Ken really being effective at covering for the likes of Barisic. He's done it numerous times, and he's as effective at that as he is going forward for us at times. He's got legs. He's no scared to get tore in. It makes me really concerned about having Sands in centre half. I'm trying to kind of put that in the back of my mind, if I'm being honest. But I know that he's done a job for us and stuff, but he's definitely not what you want a centre half going in against a Champions League team like Liverpool. That's been one of the concerns this season. I know I've already spoke about it with Van Bronckhorst, that he doesn't change his decisions, and he kind of just kept playing Sands and kept playing them. And there was times where you're going, yep, he done well there. But at this level, you can't be playing players that basically a midfielder. He was brought in as a midfielder, and you're going to be playing him centre half. I really hope that Davies was taken off at half time with Tuesday in mind, because you're going to need big players, big shoulders as well, because you're going to get battered at times. I think there's absolutely no doubt in that. See on that, but I will say on the flip side of that, I think that the Liverpool Anfield can be very similar to Ibrox in terms of they can turn on their own players at times if things aren't going well. They're going to be cocky as hell on Tuesday. They're going to think it's a Scottish team, we should be going out there and batter them. They went into when Celtic went on their run to Seville, they played against Liverpool, and Liverpool, just like Blackburn Rovers, thought they were going to roller coaster them. They were going to steamroller them. They were going to go over and absolutely batter them. They didn't. They struggled, and it was the physical side that they struggled with. So I want to see Rangers being very physical on Tuesday. Sands is a physical player, but I think Davies brings that. So that was a bit a long-winded answer there, Davies. Sorry, but,
I take your point there, because I mean, Sands. I like Sands. I think he's a good player. He's fit. He's technically quite good, but I think for this game, with what I saw of Ben Davies and you know the experience that he brings, it's certainly round pegs for round holes. You know, a proper defender. You know, because there are occasions, you know, when Sands looks like a midfield player who's playing in defence, whereas, you know, I think Ben Davies is kind of more the finished article. So I'm just hoping that, you know, unfamiliarity with you know, Goldson and Davies doesn't come back to bite us in the arse. But I would certainly go with a proper defender in all instances, you know, when one's available of his level. So on that point, listen, we're going to have to wrap things up, guys, because we're getting past our time here. So I'm going with a rather kind of scaredy cat one each draw. So I'm hoping that Ryan Kent's going to pop one in for us to at least get a point and get us on the board in this Champions League group. So just to give me your prediction, Dave, and how Tuesday will go. What do you think? Can we do it? Can we get out of there with a result?
I think it depends on the way we play. If we go with the attitude, get into them, then I think we can. I think we can get a result. If we go with the same attitude as we played against Ajax, then then we've no chance. But no, I really think. Like Craig said, the time to get them is now. But I said that against Ajax as well, and we didn't. And Ajax are not at the top of the league anymore. They drew with Go Ahead Eagles again at the weekend, and PSV lost. No, I think we can, and we've really got to go in and fight. But it's a fight. It's a blood and thunder fight. That's the only way we're going to win it, and hopefully we'll come out top, or at least, as you say, a draw will be good there, and then get them at Ibrox and beat them 2-1.
Craig, how confident are you for this?
Quietly confident, Davey. I was just checking the table again there. See, I'm just going to paint a picture. Rangers go there and win, it would be miraculous, right? See if we get any kind of result, it's going to be amazing. It'll be one of the best results I've ever seen in supporting Rangers if we go there and get any kind of result. But if Rangers were to go and win, we would go on equal points with Liverpool and Ajax, because Ajax are playing Napoli, and I don't see Ajax beating Napoli. So see if you win on Tuesday, it blows the group completely wide open for that second spot, never mind the third spot. Who would have thought it at the start when we watched that against Ajax? You could be going to Anfield and you could be going level on points with them and Ajax potentially. So put things into perspective. The group, see if we want to be competing, we need to go to these places, and we need to have the shoulders up and go, do you know what? Let's do it. I don't want to see us get embarrassed. See if we get embarrassed, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back to where we were pre international break. I want to see us go there and compete. In the Napoli game, I don't want to ever see Rangers get beat ever, but see, against Napoli, it was Rangers. That was the Rangers that we know. Going toe to toe, we might have been playing against better players and we get beat, but it certainly wasn't anything like what we watched in Ajax. So go there and compete, be a Rangers team. And I listen, there's been stranger things that have happened. Rangers went to the Europa League final last season. We're a European Cup finalist. So go and act like it.
Yeah, it's the 2 losing finalists from last year. But Craig, I certainly like your thinking. We can go there, get the 3 points on the board, and we'll be equal with them. And if Napoli, turn over Ajax, then we'll be equal with them too. So, I actually hadn't considered that, but you've got me quite excited now. But on that note, guys, listen, we're going to have to kind of wrap things up. So it's been a joy to chat to you. All things Rangers. It's just what I love to do. So until Thursday, when we'll be back with the post-match analysis of Tuesday, and let's hope, Craig, you are spot on with your, because if we can come out of there with a win, it would be an awesome result. And as you've said, you've now pointed out to me, it blows the whole thing wide open. So thanks guys for for coming tonight, and we'll see you all on Thursday. And thanks for the comments, everyone, for popping them in. Sorry, I haven't read too many of them out because I can't read and watch this screen at the same time. So, but I shouldn't have admitted that. But anyway, until Thursday, guys, we are the people.